Hey, you guys! It's Lula.
Ed,
Ed. I call him Edward, but you can call him Ed. Hi, guys! We're having our, Charlie Bucket's grandparents moment where we're sitting on the couch. And I have been wanting to do something with Ed for a while, but lately, I don't know, just things haven't been going the way I thought they would. And, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd say that. I just think it's just been a really peculiar time for us and obviously for the planet. And we're in a really weird place right now. Um, I know for myself, like, I had to stop looking at the news. I said to myself, today I wanted to look, and I went to go look on people.com, and now it used to be people.com was like my little guilty escape where I could be like, oh, let's see where these celebrities are. Oh, let's see what cool fashions they're wearing. But now it's like, it's political, it's everything. It's like, there's hardly any place for like an escape right now. And Edward and I are the kind of people we research a lot and we compare notes, so to speak. Or one will say, "Oh, I saw this," and then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that too," and then we'll discuss it and talk about what's going on. And so I said, you know what? I'm like, I want to start talking, and I'm like, whatever we decide to talk about, you guys can be a part of it. So it's like a real talk, but it's like a real talk for me and me and Edward with you guys. And also, a few decks wanted to come in, so we're going to pull some cards, some tarot, and we're going to pull from the Archetypes guidebook. You know, I realized something. Recently, someone watched something of mine from like 2 years ago, and it was about my 28-day challenge, and they wrote a comment and said, you know what? I was trying to learn from you, but you talk too much, and you talk too much about yourself, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And at first, I was mad and I was angry, and I told Ed, and then I kind of laughed about it because I was like, wow. And then I thought about it for a long time, and I thought, wow, this is a serious teaching moment for everybody, right? Because many times I've said to you guys, you know, I don't want to talk about myself. I just want to, give you the messages from spirit. But then I started to find that there were a group of you that were like, no, that's how I learn is through, your experiences and through your stories. I'm sorry, this isn't working for me. I have to go this way. I'm like, my body's like, well, which way are you going? Um, so I'm kind of opening up, and then he and I will talk, and you guys can witness or whatever. But so many of you were like, no, like that's why I follow you, or that's why I want to, whatever. And so I ended up writing back to them, and I said, this is a teaching moment for both of us. And I just said, you need to ask yourself, like, why does it bother you that I talk about myself? Like, it was like, I felt this kind of like childish kind of anger, like, I wanted to learn from you, but you're just talking about yourself too much. And so I rewatched the episode. I rewatched the episode because it was 2 years ago. So I rewatched the episode, not the whole thing, but I remembered it quite clearly actually when I started watching it. And then I realized that's what was happening is I was sharing my experiences, and it was interesting to go back and hear myself sharing my experiences with you guys, and I got something from it again. And it was my experience. So I realized, I'm like, that's been my thing my whole life, is that I have some people who want to hear me and I have other people who don't. And I'm like, that's okay. Like, you don't have to participate. Like, you don't have to like me, or you don't have to like what I have to say, or you don't have to like my channel. I'm like, move on. That's what I said. I'm like, go find your tribe. I'm not the right person for you. I'm like, go find your person, or people. And all of our teachers and shamans or whatever, like, they will evolve and they will grow as we evolve and grow, and that's okay. So I have been struggling a lot. Today I cried to Edward this morning, and I was just like, I don't know where I fit in or what I want, because like it made me really think about my channel again, and it made me think about how it went from Lula's Labyrinth to the Panda Tribe. And then recently I've been like, well, I want to do this and this on the channel too, so maybe I should put it back to Lula's Labyrinth. And you can only change it 3 times every 90 days. And so I changed it, and now I can't change it again for till whenever. And I feel like that's a blessing, because I went to put it in the other day, Lula's Labyrinth, semicolon, the Panda Tribe. Or I think I put Lula's Labyrinth and the Panda Tribe, or something, like we were a band. It was really cute. It had emojis and stuff. And it didn't take it, and I was like, okay. And then lately I've been wanting to do shows in the morning, but like Ed's kind of living down here right now while we're in this space until we move. And I've been up in the canopy, and I'm like, I'm not doing the things I normally want to do. And he and I like meditate together. We meditate alone. We do a lot of things together and a lot of things alone. But I've been feeling this pull to bring him in to the channel. So I guess we're going to see how this is going to evolve. So if it doesn't feel right to you, totally unsubscribe. I do have a pick a pile reading that's coming up. I pulled it yesterday. It's really, really awesome. Two of the piles, it's 4 piles, and 2 of the piles were so intense. I didn't look at the cards, but just the amount of cards, I could just feel it when I was pulling it. There was a lot of energy behind that, and it's messages from your spirit guides. So I will be doing that and posting that soon after this. But when it came to like myself and like Edward and like what we needed and what's good for us, I feel like because we are becoming more of an us than we've ever been of an us, that it makes sense to bring him on the journey. Just like I want him to tell you his story about what happened to him when he had the incident. I'm not calling it an accident. It's the incident. What do you call it?
Well, an accident. So I tell most people.
No, but what do you call it?
Oh, a breakthrough.
A breakthrough. And I call it the incident because
a lot of things broke.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting. Go ahead.
Well, not only my body parts, but spiritually.
Yeah, a lot of things broke. That was your, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is when people say they have a breakdown, it's like, yeah, but most of our breakdowns are actually a breakthrough, right? So yours was a breakthrough. And he's not the same person, I can tell you from knowing him for over 5 years. He's not the same person. Not even a little bit. I guess the little bit of the remnants maybe, but that's what he and I were talking about, like our remnants. I feel like our remnants are fighting each other a little bit. I wouldn't even say it's our demons anymore. I feel like it's our remnants. By the way, we chose not to have a big fancy lighting. We could have pulled this up or there's a light on behind Ed, but I'm feeling lately that this is kind of where our energy is, and I want to go where our energy is. I'm like, what is that? I want to go where our energy is and not where, not the rabbit hole that social media and the news can take you, because that's what I was saying earlier. I'm like, I can't do this rabbit hole. I'm like, I feel crazy. What do you think about that, Ed?
Rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because just like you talked about earlier about being controlled.
Yeah, it's about being controlled.
Just how the system's controlled.
Yeah.
Because it's not what you think it is. But people choose it to be. Most people choose being in that way.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole, as you might call it.
Yeah. Well, yesterday we were having a discussion, and I said, well, aren't we all just like because we found out about this group called, do you know how it's pronounced?
No.
It starts with a Q. I think it's QANON, Koinon or something. I don't even want to go into some things right now because it doesn't feel comfortable, because let's just put it this way. I'm going to say it like this. Where we are and where we live, the area, the location, there are a lot of people around us who believe in this and are part of this group. We did not understand it. We did not know. I've been having a lot of I've been talking about this, and he and I have been talking about this, where I've been having these kind of Rosemary's Baby moment. You don't have to watch the movie. It's kind of creepy, but if you want to watch it now, it's really interesting. I think you should watch it. But I don't want to shit on you, so do whatever feels comfortable. But at least go and read like the story about Rosemary's Baby. The acting's really good, and it was done in, I think, the late 60s, and it just has a really kind of a crazy vibe. But it's about the second coming of the devil. And I think it's interesting that this group is anti-Satanists, and I just feel like in the doth do protest too much department, this group, I I just think it's interesting that they keep calling all these other people monsters. And, you know, deflection is a huge thing. And with people being mirrors and everybody awakening right now, they planned on this, in my opinion. I feel like they planned on this, like, energetically, that each person would be so dissolved in their own knowing of their self that they would literally like start to just follow anybody. It's like when someone's drowning, right? And someone's like, they're drowning, and someone's trying to help them. They're not like going, oh, I'm drowning. They're like, oh my God, I'm drowning. And I think right now a lot of people are in the I'm drowning phase. And because they don't know what to grasp onto or what to hold onto, they're, you know, holding onto whatever they can. And I think both sides of the politician, I think the whole thing is corrupt. I think the whole system of the world is corrupt. And we've been talking about that. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I got a lot of thoughts. I just don't know what to put out first.
Well, you put out whatever feels good, or I'll just keep talking and you interject. And if you guys can't hear Ed, say it in the comments below. I'm having a hard time hearing him, but, you know, as you know, he had the throat thing, so he's still struggling to talk. If that's the case, then next time I'll make sure that we're both closer to it. I don't even know if I can. I don't think when you do the volume here, I don't think it makes a difference to you guys. I don't think. But we'll see, maybe if I can go a little bit louder. I don't know. Does that work that way? Do you know? If I put it up louder here, does the microphone go higher?
Does it have a microphone icon?
It says, oh, it's volume. It's just the volume icon.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, so there you go. So I just think it's really important for us to talk about these kind of things and about what's happening in the world. And with that being said, I just heard archetypes like a child. Hold on. I did do a meditation with the fairies this morning, so we're gonna pull some cards from the archetype guidebook. Do you want to pull any cards, Ed?
Yeah, I'll pull one or two.
You want to pull one for the tribe? Because this is kind of for all of us.
Sure.
Okay. So this is a message for all of us. We'll let Ed shuffle and whatever comes out.
There's still a few of these that are out in the van from the...
That's okay. That means they're meant to be there. I thought of it this morning. We have some out in the van because with the archetypes card, I've spoke about these before. They're not just for readings. That's what I was going to say earlier. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm going to keep doing readings. I'm going to keep doing pick-a-piles and things like that. But I also want to have more of these kind of discussions, you know, and then like have a soundboard on the bottom where you guys can talk to each other about it and ask questions. You know, it's so personal right now. I really don't want to answer too much. I mean, I just don't want any negative. I don't want you guys down there like fighting with each other or whatever, that kind of thing. And these are the kind of videos that it's like they may do really well, or maybe 2 people watch them. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But I'm feeling like this is a process right now, and I feel like you guys are kind of watching like our process as we figure this out. As most of you know, Edward and I are moving. And if you live on the Olympic Peninsula and you know of any work trades or anybody who has a place that's coming up for rent, we are looking to live on the Olympic Peninsula. We are coming together as a couple and as a group. I knew you were going to pull this card. But like we have come back together as a couple, but also to work as a group to really support our tribe in the best way we can. We're focusing, and if you'd like to focus with us, we're focusing on a place in the woods, a place where you can come and hang out with us and, you know, do spirit work, be fed, you know, just whatever, go on hikes, just do fun things with spirit kind of thing. And also to heal when you're going through a really tough time and you need somewhere to be held, or you need some laughs or good music and you need to dance, whatever it is. You know, when I was younger, in my 20s, when I was married and I lived in Los Angeles, I used to host a lot of dinner parties, and I could only have so much room because our house was only so big, right? We only had so many chairs and stuff. And it was kind of cute because it got to a point where people would kind of like, you know, be like, oh, how come I didn't go to that party? I'm like, dude, you know, I'm called to whoever. So it's kind of going to be the same way, you know, we'll like entertain and take care of people when they come out. to stay with us. So we're just at the beginning stages of this, and it's something that we want to grow and expand on, with animals and having other, light workers living there with us on the property. And, there'll be a place for families and singles and children. And, this is far out, but I'm looking at hundreds of acres and, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. We were watching Outlander, and I had this really great moment where they were coming together as a colony, and I kind of felt like that, like for us, like when we were watching it, I'm like, that's kind of like how I see us. That's kind of how I see us, like having like a lot of land where like, we're a place that's just full of people who are about loving and healing, because once all of this, once everybody gets their toys and goes home, and when the dust settles in the next few years, there's definitely going to be a lot of healing that's going to have to take place. I mean, he and I just have been on our own journeys, and we're still learning and healing and growing all the time. So I believe that we're meant to go through a lot of things first so that we can hold space for others when it's time for them to heal. So Ed picked the Siren card, which doesn't surprise me. Ed, tell him your mermaid story.
Or sometimes I'm at the beach and I can hear him singing
Yeah.
out beyond the waves. Another time I was out, first time I had the encounter, I was out on the kayak. I used to kayak surf, and I was out beyond the breaks and just kind of bobbing up and down the waves. And then I saw this blonde-headed girl just pop up, and all the swimmers were way inshore. And I'm like, well, what's this swimmer doing out here? And I started paddling toward her, and she disappeared, and I never saw her again. And nobody was missing anybody. And I don't know how else to explain what it was, but a mermaid.
Yeah. He said, like, there was nowhere, like, she couldn't have swam, like, he would have seen her come up. If she would have had to come up for air at some point, and he was looking and looking and looking, and she never came up. And you were pretty far out, weren't you?
Yeah, about a quarter mile.
A quarter mile. That's pretty far in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a super strong swimmer, especially on the West Coast, it's like, it's not like, some of the calmer waters, down south. So Ed has always had a thing for mermaids. And then one time we were on the beach together, and like I could hear him, and then like he was like calling back to them, and it was just it was one of those moments where I was like, who are you? And I was like, that's why I was excited for him to like have his breakthrough and all this, because ever since I met him, I saw the person he is before me today. But over time, I started to see, like, he only wanted me to see that side of him. And then we both started to see the darkness in each other. And it's taken us over 5 years, to get to this point. So, I just think it's interesting that with everything that's happening on the planet right now, I feel like that's why Spirit wants us to be really mindful of, like, who we are and who we're spending our time with. I feel like this card wants to be seen, but I don't know where to put her. Because I heard use the candle, and I was like, look, it's a cute little spider. How cute is this? All right, so I feel like it wants to go like that. Oh, look at you, Spirit. You're so smart. Wait, hold on. It's supposed to go there. Hold on, you guys. It's for you to look at this right now. They said it's all about the tail. That's all you need to see. Okay. It feels unstable. They're like, trust us, trust us, trust us. I'm like, okay. So, and that is number 18. The mermaid. Oh, the siren. The siren, they said. They said the siren, not the mermaid, the siren. The temptress, the seducer, the femme fatale. The siren calls and the world spins. What we thought we wanted pales in comparison to the sweet allure of her song. We find ourselves lost in a spell of desire and longing, perhaps even lust. Whether the thing calling to us is ultimately good, in quotes, or bad, in quotes, is somewhat irrelevant. It's the journey that matters. And the work of the siren is to take us on a deep psychic descent. Following her song, we go down, 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 to a place where lessons are learned and courage must be rallied to find our way back to dry land. Try as we might, resisting the call may not even be an option, unless, like Odysseus, we bind our hands to the mast of our ship. It's likely, though, that falling for her call is the only way we will come to live more fully on the surface. Ooh. So, those of you who are familiar with this book, there's always like when in light, when in dark part. When in light, we are awakened. We have awakened sensuality. We have more of absorption in our soul and our minds and our hearts, and arousal. When we're in dark, we're in wickedness, adultery, wreckage, betrayal, insatiability. Ooh, that's interesting because we were there in all of that, in that darkness. And I think that's, for all of us, it's like working past that, There were a lot of things, a lot of you know that with Edward and I, it was my addictions and his addictions. Our demons were like constantly fighting each other. But also, there were parts of him that I didn't want to see in myself. And so I got to play the victim a lot too. I think both of us take turns playing the victim. It's like we were raised that way. It's like, you don't want to be like, it's not my fault, but it is. It's not our fault that it happened, but it's our responsibility to take control of it. It's our responsibility to say, you know what? Like with Edward, when he was gonna, here, we're gonna go here now. When he was facing his demons, I mean, you don't have to tell the whole story, but like, when was the moment that you were like, I'm going to live or I'm going to die? Did you think it was your choice, or did you think that...
I didn't think it was. Well, I was out there for 3 days, and it wasn't until the last day until I knew I had a choice. First 2 days, I didn't have a choice. I was going to die.
The first 2 days? Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So the first 2 days, do you feel like you were accepting death?
Yes.
And then the third day, you saw a glimmer of hope, or something changed? What changed? What shifted?
The shadows started fading away. I felt that there was a chance that there was life left in me.
And so you fought.
Yeah. My instincts to survive kicked in.
Oh, wow. So that's it, right? Our instincts to survive need to kick in. I like that. So to go further and go deeper into our souls, into, the wreckage, the betrayal, because that's the darkness. That's where we're at right now. I feel like, so when we're in light, right, we're like awakened. Like we know, I'm coming back to this and going up. When we are awakened, we absolutely positively know with every fiber of our being that we are here for a purpose. Because if you are drawn to this channel, if you are drawn to this tribe, you're a light worker. So, you know that there's something more for you here, that you're not just here to participate. You're not just a supporting cast member. You are the leader of your own tribe. You are the divine guidance of your soul. Like, that there is something more than this. There is something better. Feel free to grab a card if you want, because otherwise I'm feeling like when you're doing it, I'm feeling, do you guys feel that? I don't know if you guys can feel it, but it's like, I feel like there's this energy that's like,
yeah,
do you feel that? Oh, okay, cool. That was just so, I feel like, I felt like there were tons of little people that were like playing with it and playing. I felt like there was so much energy over here. And then I heard that it was getting bigger and bigger, and they were like, yay, like Edward's energy was so fun. And I heard, pick one. Anyway, but I didn't hear it in like a parent voice, like pick one. It was more like a pick one. Choose one. But yeah, so when we're in this awakened state, we are alive. We're not in fear-based mode, because we know that there's something greater. We know that there's something bigger. We know this with every fiber of our being. But when we delve into the darkness, the betrayal, where the unsatiability, look up the word unsatiable if you don't know what it means. one of my shamans used to say, "Ooh, I love that's very satiating," and I was like obsessed with like I when I was working with her, I stole so much from her. I had to get to a point, which even this like the little granny spider, I had to like pull away because I started to realize how much of her stuff was. I'm like, okay, I need to find my own thing. Um, but it's true that word satiating is so it's really tangible, you know. To be satiated it means like that you're content, you're not full, and you're, you know. So a lot of times she would say it after I'd be like, oh, did you get enough to eat, or you good or whatever, and she's like, I feel very satiated. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I like that. I feel satiated, right? Like she's not too full, she's not empty, she's not hungry, she feels great. And so we all kind of want to be in that satiated zone, and for us to thrive, and for us to, you know, each moment we're learning from each other, we're talking to each other, we're opening the dialogue. That's how we stay satiated in our soul. Edward and I have been loners for so long, and we got so used to that that even when we were in relationships with other people, we were still the lone wolf. And what we've realized and recognized, at least I feel like this, tell me how you feel if you feel different, but ever since he's come home and we've been kind of like this, and we've had to like make it work. This is like his bed at night, and I sleep up there, you know. But when we need space, you know, sometimes he'll go up there and I'm here, and we've just been really coexisting in more yin and yang, which, you know, we've got that yin and yang on the door, and I never thought of it till now that that is so perfect for us. It's like, you know, even like this circular, you know, it's like the yin and yang. By the way, the next card is 37, which is also the number, no, excuse me, 27, which is the number 9, the unseen. See that? The unseen. I'm trying to give you a good, I know the lighting's not great in here. But even for us, it's like, you know, I think that's why we were meant to do this kind of dark, you know, is that this is like our little cave. It's become our little place of learning and growing and evolving. It was our safe space. And now it's like, you know, Spirit's like, okay, baby birds, you're not baby birds anymore. It's time for you to like go out into the world and show the world, you know, and tell the world, you know, what you know. And I feel like that with Edward, that's why I feel like I was meant to bring him in more. And maybe this way's a little harder because it's hard for us to get in the same frame. But you know, but being really mindful of like who we spend our time with, and sticking close to, and loving those unconditionally that we know are meant to be in our space, and dissolving and letting go of that which is not. I mean, we have fought each other and fought each other and fought each other and fought each other, and it meant it would had to be that, right? But we always kept coming back to something. Are you coming back to something? What's unseen in your life? I'm actually really excited because if I've read this card, I don't remember. So thank you to the siren. We're going to put the siren back in the deck. What did you say the siren was? Or what did I say it was? 18, which is also the number 9. They had me look at it. That's why. Because they both come out to the number 9. I love that shit. You guys know I love that shit. Hold on. Ooh, look at that. The unseen. The unseen. Ooh, I love stuff like this. The eye. The all-knowing eye. The eye of Horus. Here we go. The unseen. The spirit, the ancestor, the eternal. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting with wisdom, both kind and instructive. We feel this presence. We sense it. We intuit. It's intuitive to us. And then we doubt its existence. Though it rallies our attention time and time again, the energy of the unseen may come in many forms. A compelling dream, a sudden insight, a clear voice, a vision, or a message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. It is natural to fear these communications as they challenge our perception of what is real. When this card appears, your guides are near. The eternal is present. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen. The sounds may seem as though they come from a distant land, but they call from your innermost chambers. Yeah, right? Because we are one. The thing that's concerning me about like this Quanon group or whatever, is knowing certain people that are following this group and believe in this group. I'm like, these are people who are believers and followers of cultish behavior. And so I find it interesting that there are many followers that are following this group, and they are very different in a lot of ways, but yet they're all following this group. And I feel like it's coming down to this kind of like us against them thing. And they've been saying like, don't believe in this but believe in this, and don't believe in this but believe in this. And it's gotten everybody to such a quandary that they don't know which way to go. And it's like the only way to know is by the unseen in yourself. We are all one. We do all come from, like, we can hate this, this president, or we can hate, and I don't even like to use the word hate, but I'm using it because it's so extreme right now. That's probably the right word right now. Don't you think? Like, hate is a correct word. Do you feel?
Dislike? I don't know.
Well, I'm saying like hate in terms of like the way that a lot of the planet is right now, the way they're viewing the world.
There's a lot of hate in the world.
Yeah, it's like and conditions.
Yeah.
Like, if you vote for this person, you must be this, or if you believe in this, you must be this. And that's where my quandary is coming in for some of these people that I'm seeing and hearing about that are believing in certain things in certain groups. And I'm like, wow, but you see what this is happening, and you see how this is happening, and you still genuinely believe that. But that is a part of us. If we are one, that's part of us. So we're disliking or hating ourselves. And we in this tribe, we are like the kumbaya of like the voice. And it is our job right now to be the kumbaya of the voice. If you remember a lot of the sit-ins and things that happened in the 60s, if you please watch, if you can find it, please watch the documentary called The U.S. U.S. versus John Lennon, meaning like the United States versus John Lennon. Please watch that. Edward and I have seen it. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times now. Did you watch it twice with me, or did I watch it once with you?
Once.
Because I think I watched it on my own, and then I watched it with my friend James, and then I watched it with Edward. I think I watched it with James. Anyway, I just remember watching it twice, once on my own and 2 other times with, so anyway, it doesn't matter. But each time I remember just getting more progressively upset. And there's this really great moment where it's the 60s and John Lennon is being interviewed by, I can't think of her name right now, but she was like a Barbara Walters back then. But anyway, she said, thank you. She said, in a very condescending, mocking way, they're sitting up in this, I don't know where they are. I don't know where they are, but it must be close to, I want to say they're in a hotel somewhere, because it's close to the National Monument where there was a huge sit-in going on. And you can hear chanting and singing from the outside, and the camera even pans. I don't remember if it pans from them to John Lennon or John Lennon to them, but in a very mocking tone, she says, "Oh dear boy, do you really think you're going to change the world?" And he's like, "I think I can." And he's like, and then you hear, "All we are saying," I'm starting to cry, "is give peace a chance," right? And he just kept, and they were singing it over and over and over. And he's like, there's like 100,000 people down there. Like, that's insane. And that's what we need right now. We need that kind of like motivation, that kind of peace movement. The anger and the hate, it's like, they're going to keep doing that, but it's like we have to push back with the love. That's our job here as the light workers. Like, that's our job as the seers, as the spirit warriors, Edward could have left. He was handed, death was like handed to him, and he could have left, and he thought it was over, but he was just like, no. And I feel like I want him to tell his story when it gets closer, because today is October 7th, which, shout out to my friend Robin. Happy birthday, Robin. Welcome to the 48 Club. Robin and I are only the same age from now until December, but she's been in my life since I was 5 years old, and she's so precious to me. I have to call her. Anyway, so happy birthday, Robin. And to all my Libras, and to anyone who has a birthday this month, to my October babies. But listen, you guys, for real, today's October 7th. from now until Samhain, October 31st, which some call Day of the Dead or Halloween, but it's it looks like Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And that is that is the reaping of the harvest. That's what that day is. That's what that day really, really means. It might be this. You might want to put it down. You've got a lot of energy on you right now. He's normally super calm, so to see him shifty, I'm like, I know it's because this huge piece of black tourmaline is like, it can be really powerful. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that, we are the unseen. And we've been unseen for a long time, and we've been afraid. We've been afraid to be ourselves. We've been afraid to like come out and show the world who we are, because a lot of us have been in our past lives, in our current lives, we've been told we're crazy, we're unworthy. Edward had how many times have you escaped death now? This has got to be what, the third or fourth?
It depends.
Really
which
escaped
times
death.
To count. Really, the real intense ones, yeah, about 4, 5.
He said there's too many to count, but except for the intense one. So how old were you when you got hit by a school bus?
9.
He was 9 years old. He was literally pronounced dead. You still don't know how long you were dead, do you?
No.
I can't remember if his mom said it was 14 minutes or if it was 28 minutes. He's born on the 28th, and 14 times 2 is 28. So, but there's something with that. Or maybe she said, and people, but what do you think in your heart? If you had to guess right now, there's no pressure. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just say, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like 12. I feel like he was dead at least 12 minutes, which is pretty profound. But either way, so, we are not like other people. When you hear what Edward went through, you're not really going to believe it. I really seriously still don't believe it. And but I know it happened. By the way, do you hear those bombs? We live by an army base, one of the biggest army bases in the world. And they have been gearing up lately. Like, it's been kind of frightening, actually. Like, more than, we've lived here 3 years, and I feel like it's doubled, don't you think? In terms of like helicopters and
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of helicopter
and bombings
activity.
and guns and weird fucking spaceships and shit. Like, there's been so much. We live in like an area that was like, that's hugely known for, like, we are in the hub of like one of the biggest conspiracy theories in the world. So I didn't even know that much about it until we moved here. The unseen, right? So because so much is coming to the surface and each of us are all working from our own level of consciousness, we have to decipher on our own what the unseen means to us, what it is. Like, Edward and I, when we first got together, he was really into the aliens and ancient aliens, and we binge watched that like crazy because he knew, he was so into it, and I was like, come on, and he's like, oh no, that's real. And I didn't want to believe in it, but now I absolutely believe in everything. Even the starseed stuff, like, I always felt like the witches and the starseeds were separate, and it's like, none of it's separate, it's all the same. Like, that's the whole point. Like, it's all the same. We are all one. So right now I feel like we are just having things like put in our face, and it's like, what do you believe, what do you think? And we really have to think for ourselves. So I feel like even this channel, it's going to evolve because we're evolving and the world's evolving and everything's changing. And I watched this thing earlier, and with this actor, and he was so funny. He was so nonchalant about it. He goes, what about this apocalypse, man? It was actually like, I kind of loved him for a second because he was so real and so awesome. And I was like, that's exactly right. Like, he was just like, we can fucking get crazy and be like, this isn't happening. Or we can be like, what's up, man? Who knows what's going to fucking happen? Like, let's get in there. Let's see what happens. So, right? So when we are in light, we are clairvoyant. We are led by our guidance, our inner guidance, our whispers of wisdom is what the book says, whispers of wisdom. When we are in dark looming energy and unwillingness to forgive. So are you somewhere where you can't forgive? Like, I had to forgive Edward. Have you forgiven me?
Yes.
I forgive you. Thank you for forgiving me.
My pleasure.
Oh. Like, we've chosen to work through this and to recognize and witness like what each of us are going through, and we're doing it together. I'm realizing right now, like, the me that always wanted to be solo, and I feel like, and tell me if this feels the same for you, But now I'm like, no, I'm like, right now is not the time for us to be solo. Maybe going inward, yes, like listening to your voices and stuff, but like we need our tribes, we need our people. This isn't the time for us to be alone, because sometimes when we're on our own, this we can get too triggered in our heads. We can go into places that like down the rabbit hole that don't even exist, or it's an old way of thinking or an old way of knowing, right? That doesn't align with this path or this or where you are. And I think with a lot of us, because we're seers and we have this energy, we're feeling like we're in this minefield. It's almost, in a way, I'm almost loving the bombs right now because I feel like that's how it feels, right?
We're in a war zone.
We're in a war zone. We're all in a war zone, whether it's in our mental state and our physical state, our outwardly state. And, you know, people all around us are shaming us. This is the biggest election ever. You have to be a part of it. So it's like there's just shame coming from every side, or like maybe your family or your friends or your coworkers are pressuring you to be a part of this group or that group, or to believe in this or believe in that. And it's like, no, this is the time we really have to fly solo. When I researched further into this Quanon group, they're talking about like lynchings and like hanging and murdering people. It was a really fucking crazy, weird, and I'm like, how can they say they're talking about Trump is that he is the second coming, that he is Jesus? And I'm like, everything I've learned and taught and have been taught about this energy, this Christ consciousness called Jesus, from this earthly being Yeshua. It's like there's so many different denominations that people have like made out of his name, out of their name, out of their work here on earth. And I aligned more with like the John Lennon mindset of like, all we are saying is give peace a chance. I mean, he is just as much a Christ consciousness, right? But there's a lot of deflection that's happening, and that's what's that's disconcerting. I don't want to say concerning me, but what I feel is disconcerting is all no one's really looking for plausibility. That's a little disconcerting. People aren't recognizing the patterns of this individual or this person. We know we're living proof people can change. We're living proof that, and I said to him today, I'm like, I feel almost crazy. I'm like, are they on the right path? And we're just delving into this light, love, and peace business, and that's not reality. Maybe it's something that we want to be real, But we've all seen how from the Grinch to Scrooge to all of these energies that they can be softened with love, because people who are angry and greedy and malicious, that's because they were denied love in some capacity, whether it was love for themselves or love from their family, love from their friends. We've all heard the stories about Donald Trump and how he had a really rough father, and those kind of things can really, Edward and I, we have our own situations and our own things with our parents, and so when we know from personal experience that things can change and things can evolve, we also know that some things don't change and some things don't evolve because they choose not to, and there's nothing you can do about that. We can't force anybody. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead somebody to something that's right in front of their eyes, but we can't make them see. So right now, please keep your eyes open. This group believes that Biden and Obama and the Clintons and other families, like, they believe that they are eating children and drinking their blood, and this is real. This isn't a joke. I'm not making light of it. Like, this is really serious. Do your own research. It's called QUANON, I believe it's spelled. And knowing that what it is and understanding what it is, I feel like we're being educated, but in a different way. I'm like, I could look at it like this, and working in politics for as long as I did, and seeing as much as I saw, and knowing as much as I do, I know that it didn't get better. I know that it got worse, and I know that both sides are just as bad, and both sides are just as good. So there are monsters among us everywhere. And Edward and I finally broke down and watched the debate. We watched the Saturday Night Live debate first, and then I was like, I gotta see it. And so we watched it. How far? Well, I think we didn't.
About 3/4 of the way.
Yeah, we watched about 3/4, and I'm like, I can't anymore. He's like, yeah, me neither. Like, we couldn't, because it was like, I felt like it was watching children, and it's so obvious how much Bush kept, Freudian slip, that Trump kept trying to stop Biden. It was beyond being a bully. It was almost as if he wouldn't allow him to continue his train of thought. And if you know anything about Biden, he professes that he's dyslexic, and I believe that he is, because you could see when he was struggling. I don't think that he's not sharp. I think he was struggling because he kept doing that to him. And Edward and I both struggle with different forms of dyslexia, so we understand that Edward has things from his childhood when he got hurt, that his brain goes so fast, but sometimes, how would you say, like your brain and your mouth don't go as fast as each other?
Well, my brain speaks a different language.
Yeah, his brain speaks a completely different language, and it was his brain that I fell in love with. We didn't even know what each other looked like. We met through Craigslist, and we didn't even see pictures of each other. It was so crazy how that happened, and that's a whole other story. But we fell in love with each other's like minds, and then when we saw each other, we were like, oh my gosh, like you're beautiful, I love you, like it all aligned. But it's just so interesting that it's all in the mindset too, like how you're reading something. Like my mom says she hates texting because she says you can't hear the inflection in someone's voice. But even so, like there are times where I said to Ed, I'm like, I'll watch Trump and I can see how people are getting like lost in his spells. Like he sounds like he's really smart. He sounds like he, whatever. But he's the first one to be like, yeah, well, but so they die. Like, I mean, things happen. It's war. It's just very, and some people are like, yeah, well, that's being logical. I'm like, no, that's not. That's accepting that that's what it is, instead of saying we don't have to kill each other. We don't have to bomb each other. We don't have to, that it doesn't have to be that way. It's a choice that has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, so to go deeper, this says King Hamlet, the Three Fates, and The Shining. Ooh, The Shining. That's interesting. Okay, so this says guidance comes in many forms. Don't expect it to be glittery or comfortable. The spirit world speaks the truth. Sometimes it soothes and sometimes it burns, right? I mean, look at you. I mean, Edward's literally physically tortured. He was literally physically tortured. Literally physically tortured by demons. And I have been physically tortured by demons. I have had demons that have taken over my body, and I used to think I was really fucking crazy. People call them night terrors. There's different names for them. Some people call them the shadow people. Some people call them demons. It really depends. The shadow people that I've encountered, the reason why I believe they don't have a conscience or a soul, or why people are deathly afraid of them, is I think it's the darkest part of us that has no conscience and has no soul. And somehow that energy has been born into people, or it will go into people and they think they're fine, or they think they're whatever. But like when Edward came back, and like when I saw him in the hospital for the first time, I'm like, you're not the same. I was like, holy shit. I still saw some demons dancing around him, but it was like they were more in the distance. It was like his light was so bright that he could keep them at bay. I think we always have demons dancing in the distance. So it's like, are you going to let your demons control your world? Are you going to let this outer world control your existence and your life? Or are you going to face it and say, this is who I am. This is what I believe. Ooh, I feel like I just saw the eye. Like, I feel like I just saw the projection of the eye go onto the inside of my hand. I wish you guys could see what I just saw. And my hands are, I feel like, do you feel it? My Reikis? I didn't pull the power of Reiki in, but I did this morning in meditation with the fairies. So do you feel the Reiki? We invoke the power of Reiki to our sisters and brothers. Protecting ourselves. Whew, you guys, that's really heavy. Being graced by the unseen is a gift. Treat it kindly and allow yourself to be seen by eternal eyes. Okay, these are our last two cards. Ooh, the Storm and the Poet. Wow. The Storm and the Poet. Okay, thank you, I. The Storm and the Poet. Again, I know it's not a super great thing to see. I wonder if you can see it better like this. So this is, oh, what did we say was XLV? And so that would be 40 XL.
Oh, L, yeah.
We've been trying to get better at learning our Roman numerals. I'm sure you guys are like yelling out into the screen. It's blah blah blah. I think it's in the tools.
L's probably 50.
No, it's in the places. Oh, it's number 47. I was right. Oh, which is the number 11. Ooh, that's ours. So the storm. So we know that's the storm. And the poet, which is number 7. And the poet. We've pulled the poet before. That's how we were just talking about that. I was like, man, it was interesting because my friends and I were like almost convinced that Ed was not the same person I'd been talking to. Because he was so different in person than he was. Look at the birds. I feel like it's supposed to be like that. They said leave it alone. Okay, so let's read the storm first. 47. 157. The chaos, the whirlwind, the disorder. Yes. Possessing an energy much like the tarot's tower card, the storm undoes all that is. Everything that was solid, known, and relied upon is stripped away by the winds of fate. I mean, hello, that's exactly where we are. We've all been stripped away of all of our, of being comfortable, of the knowing. Like we've all, I said this to him today, it's the control that, I was taught. I was like, we have 3 weeks to move out of here. I'm like, we have no money. I'm like, we have nowhere to go. I'm like, we couldn't even put gas in at this moment. I mean, we will have. I already had 2 people reach out for readings. He'll work again, but he went back to work a little bit, and he was just so wiped out yesterday. I almost took him to the hospital. He looked really gaunt and like this greenish gray color, and I was like, you need to lay down. He slept a lot yesterday, so he's not 100% ready to get back out there. So feel free to, if you want to reach out and do some spirit work with me, my information's below. Or if you want to donate to the channel to help us on our move, that's awesome too. But I know it's all going to align. Anyway, with that being said, this is where we are, right? And so I said, I'm not used to this, and I just broke down crying hysterically because I said, I was really trained, my family, I wasn't raised to live on food assistance or to live in something, in this situation. It's beautiful, but to live in this situation, right? And everything that, everything was stripped away from me. Everything that I thought that I was moving towards felt stripped away from me. I've been wanting to write in my book, but nothing's been coming. I'm like, why can't I write? Why am I in this place? Why do I just want to smoke weed and just escape? But I'm not. It's like I don't just escape. I'm going to these different places in my mind. I'm meditating. I'm working with spirit. I'm working with Edward, talking with him, watching things and talking about it, watching the news, talking about it, trying to figure out where I belong, where I fit in right now, what's my purpose, why am I here, and all this. And I think that's natural. I think that's the chaos we're all in right now. That's, if we deflect it, then we're not going to accept it, and so we have to move through it, right? We've always talked about this, that we have to get through it to get to it. So there you go. So everything that was solid, known, and relied upon is stripped away by the winds of fate. The ground becomes the sky becomes the center, and then the center disappears. The storm is a great equalizer. No matter how far we've come on the path, no matter our age, wealth, or wisdom, we can't hide from its savage winds. Their disturbing howls stir anxiety and make it impossible to see and think straight. You must wait it out. If you try to fight the storm, you will lose. A better option is to seek temporary shelter and a reliable friend. That's really beautiful. When all else fails, go within. There, for a moment, you settle into the eye of the storm. Yes, the calmness. That's I feel like that's our yin and yang. He's the calm one. Although, how do you feel about all this right now? Do you feel calm?
Yeah, I'm pretty calm.
Yeah.
But I do have some parts that my gut sinks.
That your gut thinks?
Sinks.
Sinks. What do you mean by that?
Um, the feeling I'm on a roller coaster.
Oh, that your gut sinks. That's what I was trying to clear up because I wasn't sure if you were saying gut intuition or like, but you're saying like the roller coaster, like when you're talking about when you're going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that okay. Right. Exactly. That's how it feels, right? It feels uneasy for all of us. Like we don't know where we're going to land right now. We don't know what's going to happen, and the next 4 weeks are going to be more chaos. I mean, the second they diagnosed, it's so interesting that they diagnosed the president with the virus, and then we watched the debate after he was diagnosed, and then he'd already come back and said, "Look, I'm fine," and I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, he is being a boomerang, and I'm like, every part of me thinks he's lying. Every part of me thinks he does not have the virus at all, and if he does, it doesn't affect some people as it does. Like I could probably have it right now, but I'm totally fine. But I don't think I could give it to people either. I don't believe I can, but look at Ed. I mean, he's been around, he was in the hospital and all that, and he was tested negative for it every single time. It's just
6 times.
6 times he's tested negative for it, and we've been around each other. He's been tested while we've been around each other, so clearly we don't. But either way, it's like it is real. Even if it's a placebo of some kind, it's real, and people are really contracting it, right? Because we can manifest something into being. And so I believe that right now with everybody awakening, it's like people could be manifesting being ill and manifesting and some people really like to play the victim, and some people are like, that's the way I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out on this virus, meaning like I'm going to die. Like there's just such each individual being right now, we are all part of the same soul, the same being, the same light source, the same everything. We are light, we are dark, we are death, we are life, we are everything. So it is part of us, but some of us are not having it, or you know what I mean. But I'm not downplaying it either. And I think it doesn't even matter. It's like the president isn't somebody who's in charge that's like, look at me, I'm fine. It's like, to me it was like a fucking commercial. I didn't watch his presentation. Did you see that he went out on a balcony and told people like a fucking like
No.
I didn't. I can't, because I saw the headline that says, oh, I love her. I can't think of her name right now. The beautiful goddess that played Evita. Anyway, she said that I guess he went out on the balcony at the White House and told everybody, like did something like a dictator would.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like he looks at it like a business, like a dictatorship, and it's like, no, we need somebody in there who has a heart in their chest, who cares, is loving, and is like, okay, well, even if I contracted it, look, I'm okay, everything, I know that you're suffering, or your family, or whatever, but there's just a different way of knowing. And so it's like these birds are flying like chaotically, like in this storm. It's like they don't know where to land. Birds can fly for thousands of miles. It's kind of crazy how far even the smallest, tiniest of birds can fly in one night. It's like, but they have to land at some point, right? Like they have to land at some point. They can't, their wings can't go forever. So, it's like the same for us. I feel like we are the light workers. We're all scattered around this chaos. And if we look straight into the eye of the storm, we'll see that it is a crazy chaos, right? That we're calm, that we're the calm ones.
Yeah.
Who are the calm ones? We are the calm ones. But it's okay to be chaotic too. I mean, when I need calmness, I put my hand in his hand, and we both just like, we talk about this, how it's like, it just feels like this calming, loving space. And it's like, we all need that. We all need at least one person, even with our animals can only give us so much. It's like, we need that human contact. We need that human connection. Okay, so this says, the storm lays bare the truth that there are forces larger than you. This understanding is a relief, but also a predicament of power that requires your surrender. That's the part, that's the calming, is the surrender. We're going to pull from this, and after we do this, and then we're going to call it a day because it's going a little bit long. So I'll let you shuffle and play with those, Edward. Or even if you just want to hold them, you don't have to shuffle them yet if it doesn't feel right. So when we are in light in this energy, or they said, listen, finish this. It says, the storm's intention is to rebalance your equilibrium. It is a result of precarious conditions, not the cause of them. Do you understand that? Like, honestly, do you understand that? Because if he doesn't, sometimes he doesn't understand things, and I don't understand what he's saying, and so we'll, go, towards each other. So I'm going to read this again. The storm's intention is to rebalance, right? Because if you're in the eye of the storm, if you ever see a picture of a tornado, on the outside it's chaos, right? But in the inside, they've shown cameras where you can see it on the inside, and you can see like how it's beautiful, the sky is blue, everything's great, but the darkness has been pulled down to the ground from the storm. But if you can get and stand in the middle of it and look up, you see that everything in the middle is peaceful and balanced and perfect. It's everything around it that's going crazy. So, with that being said, the storm's intention is to rebalance your equilibrium. It is a result of precarious conditions. Precarious means like you don't know what's coming, Spirit is saying. So precarious is like, I'm going to have them give me their explanation for this situation. Like, it's precarious. It's like, it's unknown. It's like, you're not really sure, right? Like when you're looking at the cat, so it's like, they're saying like, look at Dorothy, right? So when Dorothy is in her dream, and she's in the house, and the house is up in the cyclone, and she's like, I'm up in the cyclone, and then she's like, sees her uncles go by in the rowboat, she's like, oh hey, what's up, she sees her Auntie M and uncle, she's like, hey guys, and all of a sudden she's like, then you hear the and she's on her bike, the mean old lady that's trying to kill her dog, and then she's like, ah ha 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 ha, and she turns into the witch, right? It's like, that's kind of like our minds, right? Our minds are that chaos. It's like, are we going to hold on to the good stuff like that? Or are we going to hold on to the fear that's all around us? No, we have to stay solid and balanced in our knowing, and knowing what we feel, what feels good to us, not what's out in the chaos and what's flying around us, But it's okay to be knowledgeable about being precarious, but we don't have to live in the chaos of it. Does that make sense? I know what I'm trying to say, so I may not be making sense. Okay. So it is a result of the precarious conditions. It's the result of that, but it's not the cause of them. Okay? So when we are in light, we're meaningful. Meaningful obliteration and annihilation. Meaning like we're obliterating and annihilating, we're getting rid of that which doesn't serve us. We're breathing in the white light healing, as Steve Noble says, a lot of gurus say, right? And breathing out that which no longer serves us. When we're in dark, we're in this meaningless disorder, this dysfunction. We're living, like the Groundhog Day. We're just living and we're not actually making any changes, right? So to go deeper, the tornado scene in The Wizard of Oz, I swear on my grandmother. I swear I did not see that yet. If you noticed, I turned the book this way because in the book there's all different things, and I automatically went this way. I hadn't even looked down, and then I heard you didn't do the when light, when dark. But okay, but totally seriously, that's it, right? The tornado scene in The Wizard of Oz. That's why they gave it to me. This is when I love this shit. This is when I love this. It's so awesome. It's also Rilke's The Man Watching. RILKE''S. Okay. And now we're going to go to number 7. Which is the poet. The artist, the witness, the truth teller. The poet's work is to feel immensely and not be afraid. They must seek out truth in the darkest corners of the world and carry it back for all to see. This unique capacity resides within us all, regardless of our relationship to creativity. When the poet energy is present, there is a call for deep honesty and reflection, for seeing the big picture within the little one. The poet rides effortlessly between the personal and universal. It's possible that others may not seem to listen or care about the poet's work, but do not be discouraged. The words of the poet ring true for centuries to come, soothing the wounds of despair and violence that captivate our world. The poet's work is never finished. Find your voice and trust that the wind will carry it. Oh, and I love it. Like, trust that the wind will carry it. Just as much as the cyclone can carry the negative, right? They're saying focus on the beginning, right? So our words can get pulled up into this cyclone of energy on the planet. So that's why we need to put these words out here. That's why we're on here. Another reason why I brought Ed in is there are so many times where, and it's okay if you have to cough, by the way. You know, I know he's struggling a little bit. But that's why I wanted to start bringing Ed in, because he says so many things. We have so many profound conversations that I'm like, dude, I wish I had had that on fucking camera. And so that's what I want to start doing. And, you know, that way it's like you can decide, like, sometimes it'll just be a real talk. This is a real talk and a reading. It's like sometimes it'll be this, sometimes it'll be that, sometimes it'll be a dance party, sometimes it'll be whatever. But I feel like it's time to start bringing more people into Lula's Labyrinth, right? We are the Panda Tribe. It's not just me. I'm not the only solo tribe member. And Edward has a lot to say, and he's been through a lot. He has been through more than most people I've ever met in my life, especially on a physical level in terms of death. He's been on emotional, physical, mental, many different stages of death, and has a lot to say. So, you know, when I met him, he was the poet to me. And when I first started talking to him, I just started singing again, and I was working with another songwriter, and I just started playing music again. So it's really interesting to me. So I feel like he and I have been talking about that. I'm like, I want to start doing music, or like, you know, meditations or things like for you guys as well. So anyway, when we're in light, we're clairvoyant, we're wise, and we're timeless. But when we're in dark, we use harmful words, a sharp tongue, and thwarted creativity. Meaning like we're just like not really feeding into our creativity. Lately, I've been like just kind of like pushing us to do a little bit more and be a little more involved in things, just because I know that we're meant to. But as it gets closer to Samhain, the veil's going to get thinner. That's what I've been trying to say. It is thinner, and it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner. And the thinner it gets, the closer we're going to be to the ancestors. And the ancestors are not fucking playing. There's a reason why all this energy is going to build up a week before the election, right? I mean, I don't even know when it is this year. It's usually the first Tuesday of the month.
I think it's on the 3rd.
I was gonna say I feel like I've seen it more on the 7th, and then but I just feel like it was meant to be no. Okay, so calendar. Yeah, it's on the 3rd, which is really fucking powerful. So Samhain is on the 31st. So the election is going to be 3 days after the veil is at its thinnest, but it's also still thin. Like they're kind of, it's not like they just disappear after that. So there's a lot of energy coming through for that. Okay, so to go deeper, spend 1 hour reading poetry, then one more. So read at least 2 hours of poetry. Wow. The poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred. Let's read that again. The poet is related to the shaman. And I've been saying since I met Ed, I'm like, you've got to write. There's no way I'm like, there's no way you can't write a book about your story. It's so good. But there's so much about his life that's amazing that he really needs to write. The poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred, right? So it's like we have like when we're in our like light worker and then like our muggle, right? And it's like we are the bridges. We are the bridges between all worlds. Some of us are just the bridge between this world and, you know, the other side. Some of us are bridges to multiple dimensions, multiple worlds, and you know that can be scary and intimidating. So you know, you're not alone in that. I feel that too. So it's likely there is a poem or poet that was meaningful to you at a young age. Revisit and reread it now and be open to its message. Well, mine was Where the Sidewalk Ends. And I'm going to, while you shuffle, any last messages from our spirit guides, Edward? Let's see if I can find Where the Sidewalk Ends. Where the Sidewalk Ends. Where the Sidewalk Ends. And that was by Shel Silverstein. I'm hoping that I can like find the whole thing. Oh, I don't know when this was. When is this? Oh, it doesn't have a date on it. It says this side Where the Sidewalk Ends turns 40, but I don't know what the date is on this. Okay. And it's poem. Okay, here we go. This is so exciting. So when I was a kid, this was my favorite book, Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. This poem was my favorite because my teacher read it all the time, but then I don't remember how, if we got the book or someone else had it, but then I heard, I cannot go to school today, said little Peggy Ann McKay. That was when I had the measles and the mumps. I don't remember that whole one, but we'll read this one now. Okay, so here it is. Oh, wait, I want the actual one. Because there's the book is called Where the Sidewalk Ends, but then it's the actual where the actual poem. All right, I can't find it right now, so I guess I'm going to have to read it, and that'll be another episode. I'm seeing all these other ones, the acrobats from when I was a kid, all these different ones. Okay, I heard we could do that all day. Okay, ooh, was this the position? Because this is, I guess we'll read both.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So it's the Knight of Swords is the card. The Knight of Swords. But you see how he's going into battle with his sword drawn? That reminds me of Michael, Archangel Michael. So that's a message from Michael that he's protecting us. That is Dash riding on his trusty, it looks like a giraffe named Pep. So let's see if we can get that in there for you guys to see. Yay! He's riding in, here I come to save the day. So the Page of Swords. This is our last message to wrap this up. Oh, this one. Oh, honey, when I looked down, it was 111:14. But it was 111 I saw first. So 14. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, 8 is infinity. Okay. Page of Swords. I like to read it from the individual's point of view who made the deck. So I'm not sure if it was upside down or upright, so I'm going to read both. When it's upright, it's clarity, practicality, intelligence, insight, and communication. Oh, wait, no. It's the Knight of Swords. I was reading the page. Sorry about that. The Knight of Swords. Valiance, righteous, charisma, confidence, and strategy. Strategy. Dash, the charismatic Knight of Swords, conquers everything in his path and succeeds in all of his ventures. Charging forward with a passion for truth, he holds his sword up proudly, riding his spiraled companion Pep. He calls for immediate action with fearlessness in his heart. With forceful aim and careful thought putting his ideas into action. Have confidence that they'll come to fruition regardless of any opposition. Analytical thinking combined with the creative force will yield success. If it's in reversed, it's acting before thinking and delays in plans and conceit. So it's like basically I'm hearing like, so we need to be our own knight, right? Like we go in on our healthy, stealthy steed. You know, we can be the here I come to save the day, but we cannot help others if we do not help ourselves. So don't get wrapped up in like, I'm too good for this or I'm too good for that or that's not for me or I don't deserve this or I don't deserve that, because in the reverse, what did it say? Well, there's a key word that's like highlighting in my brain. Oh, the acting before thinking, right? So if you charge in, we'll read both upright and reverse. So if you go charging in, but you don't have a purpose or you don't have a plan, it's kind of hard to like, you know, it's like, where are you? Where do you stand? Where do you stand in your own life? Where do you stand when you show up for others? And look, Dash isn't going in there. He's not running in on his own. He's going in on his trusty, dusty companion. He knows he's not going in alone. So, you know, even if this is you with your spirit guides behind you, underneath you, carrying you, guiding you. But even with them, you know, we have free will, so they're not just going to come in and tell us what to do. We have to give them some direction. Like Edward and I, on almost a daily basis, we've been like, you know, picturing where we live, what we want. And then we look at, you know, Craigslist, we're looking at different things and we're like, okay, do we want this? Do we want to live this way? Would we want to be a caregiver? Would we want to do this? How do we want to show up? It's like we have to go through each incarnation of what we want to really decide, like, is that what we want though? we saw something today that was for a caregiver position for free rent, and it sounded beautiful, and it was a beautiful house on a beautiful acreage by a lake. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, we can share the burden. It was actually wouldn't even be that big of a deal. But then Edward started to say, but I bet we'd have to be there every day. And I was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like someone lives there every day now. But he's like, I was like, what is your gut telling you? What are you feeling? And his gut was, right, you felt like we'd have to be there every day. Or like maybe they wouldn't like it if we weren't there every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and we were like, oh, we've been in that situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I felt like that we couldn't just take off and do our own thing. We'd have to, just kind of ask permission.
And so even though it sounded really good, and I was like, oh yeah, they need someone to care for them and go on walks and feed them and take care of them. I was like, because they can take care of themselves, but they just need someone to help or whatever. They're getting older and whatever. I was like, we'd be a perfect couple for that, because for the things that they needed, we could cover almost every single solitary thing on their list between the two of us. And we were like, oh, that would be good for us too. And then he was right. He's like, no, we won't be able to just go on our adventures or go, whatever. And it's like, we want to do more of helping people like heal and take care of themselves. And it's not just for one person. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, he's right. We'd be giving more of our energy just to one person and not particularly like a group of people. So, listening to that little bit of the intuition, I was seeing it for one thing and he was feeling it from another. And we find that we work really well with that. Like I'll see certain things and then he'll feel certain things, and then I'll feel certain things and he'll see certain things, and we talk about it and we talk about it and we talk it out. We spent so much time just doing things separately that we were forgetting what it's like to work as a team. And right now we need our communities, we need our tribes, we need our people. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. We had so much fun. It went a little longer than I wanted to, but it was super fun. Did you have a good time, Ed?
Yeah.
Okay, yay, awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to say or any other cards you want to pull before we go?
No.
You feel like
the power of love.
Oh, just the power of love. That's right. So keep the power of love in your heart. Keep the peace in your house, in your mind, in your soul when you're going out into the world. Keep that, as I call it, the Glinda the Good Witch bubble around you. Call on your angels, your archangels, your guardians, whatever you want to call them, your team in spirit. Call on your people to protect you. Wear colors like red and black for protection, green, getting more in touch with nature, and pulling away from the computer, pulling away from social media, pulling away from people and things and situations that are not in your greatest and highest good, that are not on the same evolutionary path that you are. With that being said, we'll see you next time. Love you so much. Blessed be. Bye. Aho.
Bye.
Bye.